my YouTube channel. If you were a subby last year, you know that we had March Madness and we actually had Nicolette and she was so amazing. I just had to say, girl, please come back because she is the finance guru. I mean, I watch her YouTube channel and everything is just so simplified with her. So I think let's sit down, let's get straight into it. I want us to start with saving. In fact, let's start with what is saving, what is investment? I think people are very confused with that.
Yeah. Okay, hello. It's
I didn't even give you a chance to say hi.
No, it's fine. So, look, at a conceptual level, there is really no difference between saving and investing, right? Okay. But at a growth and at an expectation level, there's a huge difference. And I think the biggest difference is that when you are saving, essentially what you are doing is that you're preserving your money for future use.
Okay.
So you are saying, I don't want to use this 100 Rand today, but I know I might need to be able to use it in the next couple of months. But at the same time, because of a little thing called inflation, you want your 100 Rand to still be 100 Rand in 6 months,
exactly.
right? And that is essentially saving. So you're putting money away for future use.
Yeah.
When it comes to investing, it's a similar concept. You're putting money for future use, but you're saying, I want my money to grow. So I want to vest something at the end of the period in which I'm investing, right? So if you take the 100 Rand today and you put it away, in 6 months, you want it to look like 110 instead of 100 Rand. So it needs to preserve the value of 100 Rand, but also grow by 10 Rand. So that's essentially the difference between saving and investing.
So in simple terms, if you have 100 Rand and you're saving it, in 6 months' time, it will probably still be 100 Rand or 100.10%.
Yes.
But if you're investing, you are looking at your 100 Rand being 110 Rand.
110 Rand plus, yes.
But obviously with investment, there's a risk involved.
There's definitely a risk. It depends on what you invest in. There's always a risk even in saving. The beauty of investing is that every single asset class has its own period and its own weather, right?
Yeah.
So you will find that in terms where the bond market is really doing really well, property might be struggling. Or when equities are doing well, cash might be struggling, right? So it depends on where you are investing. And I think it's important for people to understand that investing, while the conceptual level of investing and saving is the same, most people use savings for short-term purposes.
Yes, I think that's important to know that saving is important for short-term investment. We're looking medium to long term. Yes. So while we're still on saving, a lot of people are saying to me, Mpumi, how do I start saving from a small salary? I used to say, start with 10%. For me, 10% makes sense. But for a student, someone actually said, I earn 2,000 Rand and I'm getting married.
Yes.
How do I start saving?
Yeah.
I thought, don't get married. Go sign.
I'm very wary of prescribing a method of saving. I always say to people, you need to learn how to save. And I say to people, save 50 Rand. And the first thing people say to me is, 50 Rand is on 50 Rand.
Yeah.
The moment I hear you say that, it means that you've got more money to save. That's my biggest thing.
Do you think saving is a discipline? First,
saving
before anything.
It's a discipline and it's a culture.
Okay.
It's a way of life.
So number one, saving is a discipline, a culture, and a way of life. Before we get to being technical.
But you must also save with a purpose.
Okay.
The only reason why saving is difficult for people is because they don't save with a purpose. People think the adult thing is to save. But if you don't know what you're saving for, babes, just leave it.
Leave it, babes.
Just leave it, babes, because it's going to derail you from so many things. You've got to understand, when you're doing your budgeting and you're saying, I'm going to allocate 300 Rand to saving, you need to know why. I've got a saying. I say, idle money is bored money, and bored money is gone money.
Wasted money.
It doesn't matter where you put it. Because people think that if they move their money from their transactional account to a savings account, that means they are saving. That's not saving. That's you moving money around in your bank accounts, right? Because eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to use it.
Yeah.
So it's important for you to always attach a reason to saving. And I think a lot of people think saving is putting money away. Saving is not putting money away. It's reallocating money to certain things in your life so that they make sense. For instance, if you know you've got debt, you know that debt is a way for you to be able to save. Why? Because most of us, Mpumi, if we've got a credit card, a car loan, whatever, we pay the minimum amount.
Yeah.
If the bank says you just need to pay 300 Rand, you are only paying 300 Rand, right?
Yeah.
But we know now from an economic level that if you pay more into your debts, it means you're going to pay less in interest, and you're going to finish off the loan quicker, which means what? Eventually, you're going to now start freeing up that 300 rand that you were supposed to pay far more quicker than you would have if you were only paying 300 rand.
So since we're there, you're saying if someone has debt, rather start with paying off your debt before rushing off to save. Let's take it about personal. What's the first thing you had a purpose in saving for?
I was saving for buying a car cash.
Wow. And did you do it?
And I did it.
Wow. When we think saving, people think it's this emergency thing, but it's as simple as I was saving for my car cash. I think it can also be for like a varsity student, as simple as saying, end of the year, I want to buy myself a bag or something like that. But purpose behind your saving is very important. And as you said, you can start with your financial institutions such as bank, 32-day accounts, what is it?
TFSA.
So I think to shut down the savings part, I won't get into investments because I feel like my channel, we're at grade 1 because we're not a financial channel. We're at grade 1. So save for a purpose. We start with our financial institutions. If you've mastered the culture of saving and you're going into investment, head over to Nicolette's channel and you dig into investments. I think that's appropriate. Let's get into business. People want to start businesses, but they feel like I don't have the capital. And a lot of people will ask me, Mpumi, where can I go apply for funding? And my answer internally, although I can't always voice it out, is trust me, if you haven't started anything, chances are nobody is going to give you money to start a business. I could be wrong, others are like you, but speaking from experience, you need to start somewhere. So what's your take on that?
I think we can even take it a step further, Mpumi, or a step behind. Why do people want to start businesses? I think we've got a fundamental problem in this country of thinking that starting a business is an answer.
Abazi.
I always ask people, how dare you be an entrepreneur?
Girl, right? I slept sitting up yesterday because stress is real.
Do you understand? People go into businesses because they are responding to a need in the market. And it's not the other way around. It's not, I am here, I want to be an entrepreneur. What does the market need? And how do I find money?
You are responding to a need.
You are responding to a need. And once you are responding to a need, things like funding are not a big deal.
Funny enough, Brendan and I went out the other day, and the first guy I went and sat with when I needed funding, I said to him, I told him my bright idea and blah, 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 and I was waiting for his advice, and he's got money. So I thought he would say, I'll give you money. And he said, money is not an issue. And I was just like, what are you talking about? I just told you how much money is an issue. And you realize the further you go that it's the last thing. I always say money follows the vision.
Absolutely. And when you have the vision and you know that the market needs what you are offering, it is so easy. And in actual fact, it's good to not have money in the beginning.
I agree.
It's good because it teaches you how to build and scale your business. Can you imagine starting a business with 500,000 rand in your bank account?
I think I've seen it too many times, and those businesses don't even survive.
They don't last because they actually have an unrealistic view of money and what revenue their businesses make. And I fell into that trap. My second business, I was lucky enough to had been in the right corporate space, and at that time, the business that I was working for was outsourcing quite a lot of the work. So I said, listen, I will do the work. So give me the work, I'll start a business. And they let me start a business. My business at that point, when I started it, already had an established contract. I was already invoicing.
The red carpet was laid down.
I never, for the life of me, ever thought that I would leave. So I didn't do any business development. I was content with how much money we were making. We had no processes. We didn't need to. Do you understand? So we started off with a big blank check. And we thought, oh my goodness, this is great.
Too easy.
Financial Fitness Bunnies started from zero. But the beauty of Financial Fitness Bunnies was that what I was doing, the market needed. Immediately, it started to build and to grow, and there was no need now for us to even do business development because clients were coming left, right, and center and said, do you want to work with us? Do you want to do this with us? But I even learned at that time, and I tell the story about how I had to stop and deny and decline a 500,000 rand 3-month campaign with a client because it didn't speak to what we were doing, it didn't speak to what we wanted, but because I had enough time to build my processes.
But
I wasn't spoiled.
To be able
to say
no to money.
Yes. So I think a lot of people who say they want to start businesses, I cringe every time I get an email when someone says, I want to start a business, can you give me business ideas? And I'm like,
No.
No.
I know. But what are the practical things? On my end, I always said the infrastructure should come last.
Yes.
I think the service should come first. Excel. If
Yes.
your neighbor and everybody else does not know that this is what you do, this is what you're offering, then maybe we already have a problem.
Yeah.
So for me, I think my first practical step is forget a little bit about infrastructure and let's start with service. What's your
I think
tackle?
for me is start.
Okay.
You've got to plunge feet first, head in, and just go at it and try. I always say things are bound to fail.
Yeah.
And it's okay if things fail.
Yeah.
But you must also realize that even with us, when people look at us, they think, oh, you guys are doing great, you're great, because we get invited to speak at entrepreneurship. Sweetie, there's a lot of stuff that's failing.
I actually don't believe much in business books. I believe in life books because
That's
I
it.
think business is life.
Because it's you, and that's what I was
Yeah,
going to get
yeah.
to. People don't realize how much of your business is you and your personality.
Yeah,
right?
basically.
I know why my business right now is not growing. It's me. I'm the problem. I'm the problem. I can't let go. I can't delegate. I can't let go. I'm afraid of hiring
That's
people.
a topic for another
Do you
day.
understand?
Yeah.
So your personal, I mean, my best friend is a clinical psychologist, and Clementine and I sit all the time, and I'm like, okay, tell me about me. Sometimes she says, I'm gonna keep quiet. And she has to put even plaster on my mouth because she knows I'm gonna go into defense mode immediately.
Yeah.
So she shuts me up and she tells me, she says, this is why you're struggling in this sphere. This is why you're struggling. So for some people, I mean, I had a sit down with Maps a couple of weeks ago, and he said something so profound. He said, you don't realize how much your environment and your personality can make you a success or break you.
Sure,
Simply
that's important.
being able to speak English fluently, simply being able to have having a flirtatious personality is a way. Simply being able to walk in and command a room. Because people also, remember, your funder is almost like, your investors are almost like people that you would marry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If a funder is impressed with you before you've even said anything, chances are they're going to give you money.
Yeah.
Whether they believe in the idea or not, because for them, they gauge how much forget the money. They gauge how much of themselves they need to give to the business before they even start talking about the money. They're like, okay, she's got the right. And I'm so sorry, but this is life. The way you look is important in business.
Yeah.
The way you present yourself is important because that first impression makes a big deal.
The way you talk.
The way you talk.
Your jargon.
Everything. Small little things. I think also we've got a responsibility as people to be interested in the business that we want before we put this idea of it being profitable and making money. I think we do chase money a lot.
Yeah, and I think money should kind of be the last thing. I know we don't go into business to not make profit, but it should kind of be the last thing. Firstly, you need to be, like I always say, you need to be excellent in what you're doing. And that goes to what you were saying, that you prepare the night before.
Yes.
And the investors, like you could be an investor right now.
Yes.
And what I say to you could spark something in your brain. So wherever you go, you basically need to be a billboard of your business or whatever business you're trying to start. That whatever conversation is happening, people are like, oh, actually, I see something in you. So it doesn't just start in a boardroom or in a meeting. It starts with the casual conversations you're having every day with the people you're surrounded with.
I already say, if you are having to draw, and I know this is terrible advice, but if you're having to draw a business plan, you're already wrong.
Do you have a business plan?
No.
I don't either.
I've never drafted a business plan in my life.
And this will answer a question. For people who are asking me how to draw a business plan, I don't have a business plan.
I am the business plan.
I am the business plan. I have a vision. I have a mission. I have goals. I have weekly, monthly, annual, 10-year goals. And that's it. But no formal thing that I've had to study for. Anyway, Nicolette, for people who need multiple streams of income, our economy is tough. I definitely wouldn't survive without multiple streams of income. How can people get multiple streams of income? I'll start by saying in varsity, what I started doing, I did promotions.
Nice.
What else did I do? Yeah, I did lots of promotions. I've done waitressing. I've been an au pair. I've done every dirty job you can imagine. But I don't know if people are looking for those kind of answers. What are you saying?
And I'm glad you started there because I wanted to ask you, and it's funny enough because it's a conversation I had with a friend of mine when it comes to relationships. I say to her, friend, why are you... Ask yourself, think back to, because she was like, I've never had a problem with finding, partners or people to date or people to see. I said, but ask yourself, what is the difference between you then, when you didn't have a problem, and you now? Now you're in your head. And a lot of people are in their heads right now. They think that they've got a reputation. They think that they're above this, certain things. And they think that, I mean, even just us, if you think back to Mpumi 10 years ago,
oh, goodness.
Who were you 10 years ago?
Didn't know.
Were you afraid of anything?
Not really.
Not really.
No.
Now you kind of cautious.
Yeah.
You're far more. You refined yourself.
You know a little bit too much.
And you know yourself now.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I think a lot of us are in our heads in terms of additional income streams that we've kind of decided I'm not gonna do this. I won't do that, which is okay. By the way, it's okay. But at the same time, you've got to then ask yourself, how then do I mitigate that kind of thing? And I think a lot of us need to understand that also your additional income stream is not going to be as fancy as your job.
Yeah.
And just thinking about it, that fancy job of yours with an aircon is not as great as you think, because if you actually had to calculate how much you're being paid per hour.
Sure, it's scary. I started when I was in corporate. I started calculating my hour in traffic.
Yes.
That's where I started.
Yes.
I started with my
because
hour
that's work.
And also,
Yes.
you can't really repeat outfits. You have to look a certain way. Then I started calculating my outfits, my makeup, then the 8 hours,
Yes.
then the traffic going back home,
And the
then
the lifestyle.
and then you calculate the money.
Yes. So a lot of people are actually working at a loss if they actually look at the total cost of working.
Sure.
The total cost of working is actually so expensive that people don't think about it.
You're gonna make people resign.
No, I mean, but you gotta resign with a plan in the
so
business.
we start within your workspace.
Start within your
How
workspace.
can you maximize in your workspace
That's it.
first? Okay.
That's it.
So Nicolette says, before you rush to other streams of income, which will require more of you,
More of your time.
more of your resources,
Yes.
let's start by maximizing in the workspace.
Yes.
Okay, let's say now maximizing in the workspace doesn't look like it's possible. What next?
But what are you good at? I think the other thing that people don't think about is, what am I good at?
Okay.
What do I know? What can I do at second nature? A friend of mine, Richmond, asked this question on social media. He said, what can you give a presentation on for 30 minutes without preparation? Most of us have something because we know something. Now you gotta take that and you gotta start looking now in that space. What can I do that I can sell? Because remember, your employee is actually, it's a business. And I think it's important for people to start looking at it like that. It's essentially you selling your expertise. Your product is
You're selling your skill. Yeah.
And your time, right?
Yeah.
Now, what else can I do? I mean, if you work as a doctor, for instance, you work as a doctor and you are, I mean, Dr. Cindy, for instance, she's managed to take her employee and give it a branch, give it different branches.
different branches, not
she's now
just
on radio,
one.
she's a social influencer,
Writing in
she's writing a
magazines.
magazine, she's a columnist. Do you understand?
And I think it all kind of started with just Twitter, just giving freely of what you already have.
What you already
and
have.
it goes back to the scripture that says your gift makes room for you. I think your extra income doesn't necessarily come outside of your comfort zone.
it doesn't.
It's just a little bit of digging
Yes,
deep
it
and
should-
how can
yes.
I package this into profit?
Yes, it shouldn't be you having to go learn a new skill. I mean, of course, by all means, learn a new skill if
Yeah.
you want to.
Yeah.
But develop your skills around what you already have.
How should students make money?
I would say align yourself in what you are studying.
Okay.
Right? If you are doing, you know, the kids of today have so many opportunities. I'm
Sure.
almost actually envious.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back and be 18 because I just think about all the things that I can do. I mean, you look at Mehlali. The mere fact that she was able to establish a YouTube channel in something that she really, really likes and enjoys and is able to make additional income while she's actually a student. That for me is just, it's revolutionary.
Yeah.
I think the promotions are there, you know, you can still do the promotions, you can do waitressing and bar staffing. At the end of the day, it's good on your CV also because it shows the next employer that you've got work ethic,
That's
right?
what I said to my sister, that sometimes they might take the person with the 50% pass who's got the work experience over the one who's got the 80% and they've never worked.
Yes.
Because we can all sit and cram our work.
Yes.
Do businesses need accountants, new businesses?
Yes. But it doesn't have to cost you money.
Okay.
Barter.
Okay.
Barter. Because at the end of the day, and I always say, everything you do in life needs to be very well curated.
Okay.
You won't work with an accountant that does not understand your vision and does not understand your service, and in actual fact does not think they need your service.
So you don't just go to any accountant.
You don't just go to any accountant and say, I think you need, and I think it probably comes in the power of networking.
Okay.
Speak to people, right? Speak to the people that you think you need in your business. So your social media people, your accountant, speak to them. You will immediately hear if somebody's after your money or somebody understands what your business is about and how to help you grow. I think you need an accountant that's going to help you grow, because an accountant that's going to help you grow cares about your numbers. Is able to tell you 6 months in advance that you're going to actually have a problem in the next 9 months. That's an accountant that understands your business, understands how your business works, understands the industry that your business is in, and is able to foresee what what's going to happen in the future financially, right? Because that's the person that you actually need. But to just get someone to do your books, that means you're doing it for compliance reasons.
Most of us are
That's
at
what
that
we do.
stage.
Yes.
Yeah, we just get someone who can just make sure that the numbers are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the problem with a person like that, even with the Psycha membership, is that they can cook your numbers and they can make your numbers work and they can make your numbers balance. That's the issue. And that person won't be able to tell you that, Mpumi, in the next 6 months, you're going to be in financial trouble. You are equally important to understand the numbers of your business.
Did you hear that?
It is absolutely imperative. Numbers don't lie. And understanding the numbers is really, really important so that you yourself, when you're being scammed,
now you
are like, why can't I pay anymore? You know.
To end of the business topic, someone actually asked me, do I need a bank account in my business, a separate bank account? So I didn't want to ask you that question because I think that's step one. Go, even like banks, start with opening a bank account. Number two, allocate a salary. Yes. I think that's very, even if you pay yourself 100 Rand, at least reward yourself with something from the business so that you don't keep stealing more. You're taking cross all time, man. Let me just quickly swipe. So to answer that question, that's the first thing you do. You open a bank account and you pay yourself a salary. Let's go to family education policies.
I think, look, I think it's very, very important for people to understand what an education policy is. And I know that the guys who are, what do they call them? These people that product developers and actuaries will kill me.
Yeah.
The reality is that you can make a fund for yourself right now.
Okay.
An education policy is a fund that was created by someone that looks at the variables, looks at a risk of a parent to say, if they take what is called assumptions.
Okay.
And they develop a fund. So the assumption is that you are, because it's an education policy, you've got a long time to save. You are probably saving you want to save as little as possible but get the best returns. You are very low risk. So they take those assumptions and then they build a product.
Okay.
But the reality is that anything can be an education fund.
Okay.
You can do Amapek room and say, money that I'm getting from Amapek room, I'm putting into a bank account and that's my children's education fund.
I actually had the conversation with my husband again that for my children's 21st or 18th birthday, before they go to varsity, instead of saying here's a car, I'd like to say here's a property.
Here's a property.
Here's a property. Buy property now. By the time they're 18 going into varsity, that property is the one that's paying for the varsity.
That's it. For a typical black family, putting money away for an education policy might not be sustainable because now you spend a very good part of your 12, 13, 14 years trying to put a portion of your salary, but what you're doing is for the short-term quality of life and short-term living, you're living on debt. You're sacrificing so much that you end up living on debt. So by the time your kid hits university, there's so much debt that still needs to be settled that you don't actually end up
still in the same spot.
So you're not moving in any way. Yes. And then eventually you now become a problem for your children. Because now
black tax
comes in and your parents' retirement. So now you are part of that sandwich generation. As your child is a sandwich generation, they've got you at the bottom, they've got their siblings at the top or family members and they're being squashed. I believe in income generating assets. Okay. I believe that we need to build and buy and acquire assets that give us an income right now but are for the future. So if you, as you said, if you're buying a rental property right now and you're able to, even if you're buying something simple, you tap in, let's say you're buying
a back room.
Back room.
Use a back room.
Let's say you're spending 100,000 Rand on those back rooms. You tap into Flisp. Flisp helps you. Flisp gives you some sort of money. And you've got a property that is worth 200,000 Rand, but you paid 100,000 Rand for it. You're getting rental income that you can live off right now, but you know that the property is, first of all, it's appreciating in value. That's number one. You can scale it because even as the years go, you can keep adding an extra room. You can keep adding something else. By the time your kid hits 18 and they need to go to university, you then ring fence that money that you are now getting from the property into their schooling, but you're giving them an asset at the same time. So not only
it's also going to keep growing.
It's also going to, do you understand?
I think you speak on Twitter about buying chicken. Start with buying one chicken. Someone start with an egg.
Just start with an egg.
From Ikada, let's buy a chicken from one chicken. So there's just different ways. To close off education policy, it's a whole different topic. But like Nicolette says, what works?
Anything can be an education
anything can
policy.
work. But if you need that discipline of a formal one, then go for that. But that's not the only way to save money for your kids. Handling debt as a family, we got into that. I think you touched about getting an education policy, this, but then you end up in debt. How do we handle debt? Someone actually asked me that. I think they asked that they are in debt and the husband, and she's making more money than the husband, but now the husband keeps expecting more. So how do families navigate and manage debt?
I think first and foremost, the most important thing is what type of marital structure are you in? The marital structure will kind of say who is liable for the debt,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I think secondly, the second thing is to forgive yourself.
Okay.
I think a lot of people, debt is a very psychological barrier
I believe
to a lot
so.
of people, and it's important to be kind to yourself and to forgive yourself, because at some point, most of us, the reason why we go into debt is either lack of know or lack of responsibility and accountability, right?
Nicolette, is it okay for me to say money won't solve your debt issues?
No, money will never solve your debt issue. It's a mindset thing for me.
Okay, there we
And
go.
also, more than just a mindset, it's also an understanding of how debt works.
Okay.
I think a lot of us, and key habit, why try it?
It's a lifestyle.
Yes.
The same way saving is a lifestyle, debt
Yes.
is the opposite.
And the sad thing is that it's a habit that you form if you get used to using money that is not yours, right?
And
But-
bazokunika.
and they'll give it to you, but also not understanding the implication of it. And I always say people who are in debt must not be saved. They don't need to be saved, they need to save themselves. Because it's important that you go through the process of understanding what debt actually means and what type of implication it's going to have on your life. But I think the other thing is knowing how much debt you have.
Step one, know how much debt you have.
Important.
Yeah.
And then write it down.
On a piece of paper in big bold letters.
Visualize and then take your budget. You've got to plan and track your spending. It's important to track your spending, because if you track your spending, you will realize that somebody said this and it was so real when they said it. 15% of all of us, our income, we don't know where it goes to.
That's true. I'm just thinking of myself.
15% of your income, a lot of us don't know where it goes to.
It's the everyday
The
swiping,
everyday swipes, you don't give it a thought.
Yeah.
But you also bank badly. Instead of using your card, you are withdrawing cash. Instead of sending withdrawing from, let's say you're on F&B and you've forgotten your card at home, instead of doing a cardless transaction, you want to do an e-wallet to yourself. So you are banking badly. Instead of having one consolidated loan, because remember, you also pay an account fee on all your loans. You've got 10 loans. So each of them are charging you 59 Rand. If you multiply 59 Rand by 10, it's 590 just on having an account opened. Just on an account opened.
Nothing else is
No, you haven't even started paying for anything. But if you consolidate all of those, you pay one fee. So it's those things. We bank badly. We do certain things badly. Instead of getting Wi-Fi because it's cheaper, you buy data.
I need data.
5 times in a month.
So firstly, we need to know how much
We owe.
How much we owe. Number two,
And what we're being charged.
how much we're being charged. I think that goes with saying that 15%. Let's start thinking about that 15%. As a family, do you think parents should be honest with their
Yes.
children, siblings, husband and wife about the debt they're in?
Everyone. Do you see me? Me, I speak about money to everyone. Let's get on trial. Let's get for Nicolette. It's important for people to know that I've got money for me. I don't budget. I don't think about my mom when I'm budgeting. She's my mom. I don't think about her. I
You
don't
are
think about my. So can you imagine if I don't think about my mom? What about the ones who come into my DMs?
I don't even want to go about
Okay?
the DS.
I don't budget for you.
Ayikho.
Don't ask me for money.
Asikbalanga. We've
Anginayo.
got family members
Do you
also who
understand?
aren't even in our budget.
So it's important. I think we need to take away the stereotype of you can't talk about money, abantu bazokuloya, people are going to kidnap you. I've had people say to me, Nicole, you're going to get kidnapped. And I'm like, wow, they're going to send me back, right? I'm telling you, trust me.
Should parents explain to children why they're saying no, angina mali? Because I thought,
No, don't say angina mani.
Okay.
That's already where you're going
is
wrong.
that a problem? Because that's what our parents,
Yes.
we grew up hearing all the
Yes.
time. Angina mali. And you think, Maramusi,
And you're creating a disconnect for your child.
Okay.
If you say angina mali, you're not. Remember the pillars of teaching children money is how to make money, how to spend money, how to save money, how to invest money, and how to give money
Is
to
this
other
in your
people.
book?
So this is in my kiddies book that I'm writing, right?
Okay.
Kids need to know how to donate, how to save, how to invest, how to make money, and how to spend.
Okay.
Now, the moment you say, angina mali, but every day we have
You've shut it all down.
you've disconnected, you've broken the entire structure for them. Because now they're like, hey man,
Kanti.
how are you working but you don't have money? You must say, I don't have money for what you want. Or right now,
I
have
have
not
money for
allocated money to what it is that you want.
Okay.
But next month, maybe let's try.
With JTs, there's the snowball method and there's the
There's a snowball method, there's the avalanche method.
Okay.
Then there's consolidation, there is debt settlement. So there's various methods, but they work for different people. And remember what I said about business, that as an entrepreneur, your personality really works hand in hand in how you actually become a success. It's the same thing with money. How you become a success in terms of the strategy that you take is also comes down to your personality. Are you a person that needs motivation? Because if you're a person that needs motivation, then we say use the snowball method. Because the snowball method, you start kangani,
Yeah.
and then it builds up and it builds up.
Yeah.
Because you physically need to see
What's
conquering.
okay,
I've
something's happening
conquered
here.
something.
Yeah, I think this is a challenge
Yes.
to everybody that you need to go and do your research on the different methods she's mentioned.
Yes.
And let's close it up with budgeting. How important is a budget and how do people stick to their budget? We're closing.
A lot of people budget badly.
Okay.
And I've actually just done a video saying why your budget sucks.
Okay.
It's because people budget with no reason to budget.
Okay.
They think it's the right thing to do. They
Okay.
think they're supposed to do it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's important that when you are budgeting, you've got a reason. And I would say, so you do your long-term, mid-term, short-term, and daily goals. You've got to have daily goals.
Nicolette and I can talk for hours and hours. Thank you so much. For more information, go on her YouTube channel. There's something for there's no topic that you haven't covered.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no topic
yeah.
she hasn't covered. Thank you so much, Nicolette.
Thank you.
Lovely having you.
Always.
And thank you guys. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and go and follow Nicolette on her YouTube
And I'm going to ask them on camera. I'm going to be sitting down with Mpumi and Brendan very soon for my first time with money.
channel. Yay!